Have you been missing Rome 2 in your life? Yes, you have. I had a lot of Warhammer to cover recently as there was new content, and I'm still going to be covering a lot of that as I'm playing through some campaigns. But that doesn't mean that I've forgotten about the folks who love them some good Rome 2 action. And neither has Hotel Soap, who was kind enough to provide me with some replays. This is him playing against Number. Number helped create the DMC mod that I've showed you all before, and I believe is linked in the description. But if you do want to find it in the workshop, it's DMC Definitive Multiplayer Changes. And it is different than the Unconquered Sun mod, which you see for the Sub-Commanders, which of course was made more specifically for that game mode. DMC made a little bit more subtle changes and added a few things here and there to make, I think, a better kind of just... It's more like the vanilla game experience, but obviously with improvements there. And here we're going to see Rome up against Nervii. And if you want to see some of those changes, again, check the links in the description. I'll have the mod link down there. But we've got some mercenary Germanic scout riders already out here harassing. They're going to be up against a Numidian cavalry here, so I do like that. It's a good pick for Rome. Let's go check out the Roman infantry. Up front, we've got Hastati, formerly known as Pastati. They are recovering pasta addicts. They're no longer allowed to spaghetti line all the way out. We do have legionary cohort behind those. These are going to be some fairly good cost-effective units across the back line here. There is a Roman legatus in command. Gladiatresses supporting one flank. Looks like we have another on the other. So gladiatresses are a glass cannon unit. They go in, do tons of damage. They do have pretty good melee defense. They just don't have a lot of armor. And their number count's not very high either. And they're loosely spaced, which also means if they get pummeled by cavalry, it's not going to be good. 3 mercenary Balearic slingers and an auxiliary Syrian archer. And it looks like we got a couple of auxiliary cav to support. Let's go check out the rest of the Nervii army. There was some naked spears out here. Unfortunately for us, just mostly naked. Loincloth included, so that you don't get too traumatized. Or I don't know, maybe that's your thing, is saying naked Suebi men running, or sorry, Suebi, did I say Suebi? Nervii men running around the battlefield. If so, then you're in luck. And I have provided you with something that you were pretty excited about, no doubt. We've got 3 units of Celtic slingers. We got a spear brother here, and it looks like an oath sworn, including the general. Behind them are some fierce swords. Remember, fierce swords, a little bit low in the armor department, but they pack a pretty good wallop in terms of, you know, just mid-tier swords. And then behind those, we got some naked warriors who are going to be like their naked spear brothers, only showing a little cheek here, and they're going to be really good on the charge. And basically kind of a glass cannon otherwise. There was some mighty horse that was cloaking over here, kind of like a Romulan warbird. No doubt the same technology being employed there. But yeah, anyway, we're going to see a little bit of action there from the cavalry that's hidden in the scrub. So let's see how this one goes. A huge skirmish advantage for Rome, as long as they don't get hit by a cavalry attack. And as far as melee goes, it should be interesting. I don't know exactly how these Roman units were changed, if any, in this mod. Typically, though, Roman units very grindy, very well armored. The barbarians are going to be having to get a really good charge to get through it, and that is going to be tricky, I think, because of the amount of skirmish that Rome possesses here. That auxiliary cav there getting a Germanic scout rider off the battlefield. This one's straying close too, and the Numidians are going to fix them, so the auxiliary cav can come and finish them off, most likely. The Numidians, decent in melee here against a light cavalry, but with the help of that auxiliary cav, that's going to be a knockout against the Nervii cavalry, and I'm already seeing the rapid or quick reload here coming for the Balearic slingers. Now squared off against the Celtic slingers. They outclass these Celtic slingers in damage and fire rate, though the same on range. So this ought to be a fight that goes in favor of the Romans. The Nervii are going to have to make a move. Not only do the Roman slingers hold the advantage here qualitatively, they're also sitting in some scrub, which will give them some protection from the incoming fire. And you can see that the Celtic slingers are quickly being reminded that they do not get to stand toe-to-toe with Balearics for very long. This is causing the Nervii to come surging forward with the Spear Brothers out front. Band of Brothers, I guess. This is going to be a rough job here. They're going to be the Pila sponge, essentially. And a Pila there will be. Look here, the Oathsworn going to go head-to-head with the Pastati. It is going to be a nice all-you-can-eat pasta dinner for the Oathsworn as they come collapsing into the Hastati. But this will help to slowly wear the Oathsworn out, much like Zap Brannigan in Futurama. I guess the Roman here might be hoping that the Killbot Oathsworn will reach their predetermined kill limit eventually, and go ahead and shut down automatically. Here comes an Oathsworn charging into a Legionary cohort. It is going to really work that Legionary cohort over. The Romans are going to need to use their cavalry and gladiatresses to get some good charges. Look at this Hastati that was used to kind of bait and switch here. Bait and switch can be a good way to kind of ruin the barbarian charge. Here comes a mighty horse that actually catches those auxiliary Syrian archers here. Fierce swords right in, and an Oathsworn not far behind. That's going to be a pretty devastating charge for the Nervii, and now it's going to be a question whether the Rome can withstand the barbarian wave. Look at this, charging the fierce swords in through the Oathsworn. The Oathsworn taking a bit of a beating here. It may have gotten picked up by the skirmishers prior to combat. It's the only reason I can imagine it would have taken those kind of losses. Look at that one, already over 130 kills. Boy, those Celtic slingers are really putting it in here on that auxiliary cav too, so a nice job by the Nervii trying to shut down that Roman skirmish advantage. Naked Spear still working around out in the flank. Legionary cohort here taking on a mighty horse and a fierce sword. Fighting spirit here, going to improve the Nervii a little bit, and then the Oathsworn over here with the force concentration, which is going to improve attack around this area. And it's also got Headhunt popped in there, so the Romans going to be under quite the tough fight here. The Gladiatress is being used to help slow down the Oathsworn. I like that. They're going to need something. Over here, though, that Roman flank under the Hastati looking kind of weak, and the auxiliary cav may not have enough left in the tank here to finish off the mighty horse. So there is another auxiliary cav in reserve, and those auxiliary Balearics are really gunning for this blob over here where the general's at, and it is starting to have a big impact. Remember that slingers have a decent armor-piercing value that archers do not, and so given the time, they will really chip through that armor and take out a lot of hit points, especially as a unit has already been weakened, and those hit points start to result in entity losses. It can really take a toll on the unit. Here comes that auxiliary cav. Naked Spears there, though, to help out, so a very tough fight here between both factions. The Nervii have been landing some haymakers, the Romans returning some of their own. It is looking like maybe slightly in favor of the Nervii is what it shows at the moment, though I would give the advantage to the Romans at the moment, unless the Nervii can do something about those Balearic slingers. If they can't, I think that they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Gladiatresses are all that's left here now against the remnant of that Oathsworn. They got 40 kills, which is impressive, but they're going to struggle to get through all that armor. The Hastati here, though, should be able to finish off the Naked Spear. This one just finished its fight, and it looks like we have a Legionary cohort out here trying to put away a Fierce Sword, but not quite there yet. And then here an Auxiliary Cav heading into a somewhat diminished Mighty Horse, and the Legatus doing the same here. That might be a tough fight for the Roman Legatus there. Might be a little in over its head. I mean, it's interesting. It's starting to show the favor to the Romans, and again, I kind of agree because the infantry is starting to get put down here, and I believe that the general has probably died or is about to die for the Nervii if it didn't already, and that is going to put this one in favor of the Romans. So the Balearic Slingers here, I believe, making some of the critical difference that have swung this, at least what looks to be, in the favor of the Romans. A very nice fight, though, from the Nervii. That was a vicious charge that the Nervii put on there, and the Romans had to fight pretty hard to slow that down. The Celtic Slingers got dumped on early, but you know, to their credit, they stayed in that fight and kept throwing in a lot of damage here, and I believe that they've gotten some, you know, decent work done considering how badly they got flogged early in that fight. So it's always good to keep an eye on those units. If they get knocked out early, make sure to bring them back in. And here comes the Numidian cavalry coming up behind those slingers. It won't take much to rout them. It's just about army losses scenario here for the Nervii, but a good fight. Definitely one that cost many casualties on both sides. You can see here where the Celtic slingers made their first stand, and then the battle lines colliding over here and leaving a pile of corpses of loinclothed men who I guess just didn't get the memo that armor is good for saving your lives, but I guess you look cooler doing that, so you all tell me what you're wearing into battle if you go back into ancient Rome. Are you going into the loincloth, or are you going to take the time to get some armor? I guess it wasn't always time, though, right? It was probably a lot with money, and I'm guessing that wasn't easy to come by. But yeah, nice game here between Number and Hotel Soap. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward the mop-up here. It's about 30 seconds remaining. The Romans do have this one into mop-up time, but again, well played by the Nervii. You can see the Romans, it was a costly victory for them. Definitely not a steamroller of any sort. And for those of you who say Rome always loses, well, guess what? We were given a replay here by Hotel Soap, a retail. You like that? I combined replay and hotel into one and made a word that already exists too. So I was giving you a replay where Rome wins. So there you go. Rome wins. And appreciate Number for putting together the mod. Really is a cool mod. Again, if you want to see more information about it, go check it out in the description. If you'd like to play the Sub-Commanders battles, or if you'd like to find people to play this with, there's probably a lot of them over in the Gathering Stone Discord. You can also join my Discord. There's people there who love to play battles. You can get a hold of them. Anyway, lots of fun ways to get involved. HeirofCarthage signing out. I'll see you all soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.